Welcome back. It's Congressman Mike Quigley, this time coming to you from Washington, D.C. In a regular Facebook Q&A process where we're trying to answer your questions any number of ways. This is just one of those. Remember, it's quigley.house.gov. So busy day. By the time you see this, this will have passed the House. We'll give you some details on that in just a second. First question, as a contract worker, how do I apply for unemployment? Gig workers, 1099s, any number of names, the results are the same. Traditionally, these are, as you know, workers who are not eligible for unemployment benefits, but Congress changed that, and the Illinois Department of Employment and Security is now accepting these applications. Obviously, this is a bump in the road, and it's taken a little bit of time. I do want to thank the IDS workers for unprecedented workload that they're trying to address here. So I know it's important to be a little patient, and we'll get through this together. IDS has finalized the application process in its two-step. First, you're going to have to apply online for the regular benefits, and you're going to be denied. Once you're denied regular benefits, you can apply for Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, or PUA, which is specifically expanded eligibility that we passed out of Congress. IDS has begun to accept these applications for PUA, so you have to have already been deemed ineligible for regular benefits. You can now go online to apply for PUA. If you have any questions or need help, you can visit ids.illinois.gov to do the application and get those questions answered. My staff's also here to help you with that as well. So what are we doing? What did we do today? We passed an extraordinary important piece of legislation called the HEROES Act. And obviously the backdrop of that is over 80,000 Americans have died because of the virus, and just last month 22 million Americans applied for unemployment benefits. So it's extremely important that we move forward on this. And someone has said, well, what if the Senate doesn't take it up? Legislation acts on inertia. For us to sit and not do anything at all, nothing would happen. So we felt that the House needed to do something bold and big, given the demand that's out there. And as you know, Fed Chief Powell said this is extremely important. I do expect bipartisan support on this measure, and we're hoping that we can get the Senate and the President of the United States to agree to move along these lines, but clearly something needs to be done. I said all along that first and foremost, this is a public health crisis. It is. And toward that end of this money, another $75 billion goes to testing, tracing, and treatment. $100 billion goes for education, over $1 trillion to our state and local governments to provide and retain those frontline workers who are doing so much to keep us safe and address this issue and keep us safe on any other issues as well. It has additional direct payments, families up to $6,000 per household. It supports small businesses by strengthening and providing greater flexibility to the payroll protection program. Bottom line in large Roman numerals: health security, workplace security, housing security, and food security. And we'll get to a little more details in a later question, but we obviously have the November election that means so much to all of us. It provides $3.6 billion toward that end and helps the Postal Service for $25 billion. Postal Service was somewhat forgotten in the previous care packages. They're going to run out of money by the end of September, but obviously for their own sake and protect their workers, they need these resources and to continue to function. But they're extremely important in how we handle next election so that people feel safe and that they're allowed to use a mail-to-home program. And that is the next and very common question. If there's a second wave of virus in the fall, how can we safely hold an election? Well, obviously, there's not much choice. We're going to provide this election. It's probably the most important one in our lifetime. Yet we can't have the debacle that took place in Wisconsin, for example. So we need to provide election security for voters. who don't have to make a choice between risking their lives, getting sick, and exercising their right to vote, and those poll watchers and all those involved in the process. So the original CARES Act provided critical resources, and as I've said, the HEROES Act provides an extraordinary amount. But we're talking about standing up a mail program for the vast majority of Americans, and that costs a tremendous amount of dollars and resources to put in place. At the same time, we're hoping to extend the voting periods in some states that don't have those yet to, again, reduce the risk and do other things to protect our poll watchers and people, again, involved with that process. So there will be no good excuse to extend this election. It should and must take place in November. Additional question has to do with how we're doing social practicing here in Congress. Today's votes are taking a long time. Most members are being responsible enough to wear gloves and masks as we go. We're voting in groups by alphabetical order, 6 groups. So I'm in the 5th group, and we get called in order and enter single file. We take our vote and we move out through a different exit. And hopefully we are some sort of lesson that the key here is that never in our history have we relied upon each other to act responsibly. That we really need each other to behave appropriately because our lives depend upon it. And I know folks are focused on the economy right now. When they talk about this as a stimulus package, they shouldn't think of it that way. It's really a survival package because, again, it is a public health crisis first, and that is what is creating the economic crisis. So for our economy to move forward, we have to deal with the virus. That's what we're here for, first and foremost. And it gets to the last point, how do you stay in touch with constituencies? Please reach our office if your community group wants to have a virtual meeting. We're doing a classroom a day. We're also meeting with chambers of commerce and individuals and any number of sources. Our doors may be closed, but we're fully functioning. Our numbers are still working, quigley.house.gov as well. So we're here to serve you in any way we possibly can. And as I always say at the end of these things, let's stay close, but not too close. We'll see you soon.